Posul, a world with never-ending night and war, is where I was born. One of the toughest and nastiest tribes was the Karak. We battled other tribes, nighttime monsters, and creatures from beyond the stars in order to survive. I grew up learning how to hunt, fight, and kill. My elders and deceased forefathers provided us with lessons. I was ecstatic about my tribe and my abilities. But when they arrived, everything was altered. The grotesque angels, the death that descends from the sky. And the Skyborn, they belonged to a group of space marines called the Mortifactors, who were descended from the famous Ultramarines. They told us that they visited our globe occasionally in search of fresh recruits for their ranks. The best warriors from each tribe would be put to the test in a bloody battle, and only the victorious would be taken away. One of those who responded to their call was myself. The Mortifactors were described as unmatched warriors that fought alongside the Sky Emperor of mankind in his never-ending conflict with the human race's foes. To glimpse the stars and to fight for a larger cause, I yearned to be one of them. I had no fear of dying, since I understood that it was the highest honor. It was a horrible trial. One of their scouts, a giant dressed in black and bone armor and carrying a chainsword and a bolt pistol, was who I had to face. He was strong and swift, but I was quicker and more powerful. I avoided his strikes and parried his blows before using my knife and spear to retaliate. I succeeded in cutting him numerous times and drew blood from his body. He appeared to be impressed by my expertise, but he persisted. He battled with vicious violence, as if he were trying to push me to my breaking point. When it seemed like we had been fighting forever, we both passed out from weariness and blood loss. "You have done well, young one," he murmured as he gave me a grim smile. "You possess a martyr's spirit. You are deserving." Then he extended his hand to assist me in standing. I experienced a rush of delight and pride. I had succeeded on the test. I got picked. He led me onto their enormous castle, which was in orbit around our planet. There, having successfully completed their trials, I ran into the other recruits. As I held his hand, I had a rush of pride and delight. I had succeeded on the test. I deserved to be counted among the martyrs. He took me to their ship, where I saw more warriors from various tribes, some of whom were dead and others were wounded. They were the ones who failed the trial or lost their lives doing so. We were the chosen ones, the scout assured me, and the chapter's future. He claimed that in order to become Space Marines, we would go through a number of mental and physical changes. He told me that while it would hurt and be risky, it was the only way to serve the Emperor. I concurred, ready to face any challenge. I had no nostalgia for or attachment to my former life. My tribe, my family, and my entire universe had all been left behind. I was now a Mortifactor because I was the Sky Emperor's offspring. The scout had a point. The changes were excruciating and alarming. My body was transplanted with organs and gadgets that improved my stamina, quickness, sensitivity, and resilience. They changed my physiology and metabolism by injecting me with drugs and hormones. They poisoned and radioactively exposed me in order to rid me of my defects and shortcomings. They indoctrinated me with wisdom and information, cramming doctrine and history into my head. They shaped my soul with loyalty and dedication while indoctrinating me with faith and zeal. The process claimed the lives of several of the selected tribe warriors just like me. Injections, implants, and exposure all contributed to the deaths of some recruits. A few people become insane as a result of knowledge, brainwashing, or seclusion. Some revolted against the procedure, some against the chapter, and still others against the Emperor. Everyone was mercilessly exterminated. I got through. I endured. So I changed. I became a Space Marine. Yet I refrained from becoming a martyr. No, not yet. One final examination was given. Death's ultimate test, just as my ancestors have done. According to the scout, I had to die and be reincarnated in order to be a true Mortifactor. To face the unknown and accept it, according to him, was the ultimate test of faith and courage. He claimed that communicating and learning from death was the key to their strength and knowledge. Each martyr, according to him, had a responsibility to both die and live for the Emperor, and I knew this to be true, as it is the teachings of the tribe. That was my short story about a recruit from Posul, a planet now that only lives in the memories of the Mortifactors. Their home planet was destroyed by one of the Tyranid hive fleets. Now, before the video on lore and history starts, I want to share some interesting passages from the Ultramarines omnibus book about when Captain Uriel Ventris of the Ultramarines 4th Company visited the Fortress Monastery battle barge of the Mortifactors, the Basilica Mortis. Let's see what Ventris experienced when he visited. The Mortifactors orbit-bound chapter monastery, the Basilica Mortis, has accepted a docking with the Ultramarines Victus, the 4th Company attack cruiser. A lengthy dark tunnel made of black iron that led to a gateway that was ringed by black skulls was revealed when the door, which had been attached to the hatch with a decompressive hiss, was freed from it and pulled aside on oiled runners. It doesn't look very appealing, does it? Tiberius thought. Not particularly, Uriel concurred. The Mortifactors' hallways were as silent and foreboding as a graveyard. More skulls could be found in each doorway and chamber they entered, but only now, when Uriel got closer, did he realize that none of them had been carved or otherwise fashioned by humans. They were all genuine, bleached and aged dusty. The deeper they went inside this gloomy tomb, the more perplexed Uriel became. How could soldiers of his bloodline reside in such a repulsive environment? How could these Guilliman's sons have strayed so far from the primate's teachings? Uriel discusses his ancestry with Chaplain Astador. The land below us, Posul, was my home, and before I was picked to join the Emperor's Sky Warriors, I had never experienced happiness or the sun. On Posul, only a terrible existence marked by darkness and bloodshed exists, none of the other things. Before I was selected to join the Space Marines, I participated in a combat that resulted in me taking 300 skulls, and ever since that time, I have eliminated the Emperor's foes. Even though I've since seen the sun, I still lack joy. A stone-flagged floor that was covered in many tombstones was encircled by a carving of bone. The domed ceiling of the cloister was made entirely of interconnecting skulls, their eyeless sockets looking down upon anyone who stood in their dominion. Niches built among the columns of the cloister featured skeletal warriors gripping swords. A large throne made of the bones of long-dead space marines was surrounded by skeletal statues of angels, as well as smiling skulls peering from the armrests and above the tapered top of the throne. Uriel could make out individual femurs, spines, and a variety of other bones. They have completely adapted to the grim reality of war and death. Few Space Marine chapters are as feared and revered as the Mortifactors in the bleak depths of the 41st millennia. These soldiers of the Imperium, descended from the Ultramarine gene seed during the Cursed Founding, are renowned for their harsh battle strategies and their unwavering loyalty to the Emperor. In this video, we'll delve into the past of the Mortifactors, learning about their distinct cultural heritage and legendary conflicts with some of the Imperium's worst foes. The terrifying warriors of this chapter will be put on display for us as they terrorize the enemies of humanity. So come along with us as we explore the Mortifactors universe and learn what it really means to be an Emperor's chosen fighter. Sometimes you have to become a monster to fight the monsters at the door in a galaxy of gloom and sorrow. In the early 38th millennium, during the 26th founding, often known as the Cursed Founding, a loyalist Space Marine chapter called the Mortifactors was established. The chapter, which is headquartered on the planet of Posul in the Ultima Segmentum, was established using the gene seed of the Ultramarines. The Mortifactors are renowned for both their affinity for skull iconography and their dark and morbid temperament. Their battle strategies frequently entail psychological warfare and terror techniques, since they are extremely interested in death and the afterlife. They have been known to consume the flesh and blood of their foes, who may be humans, Xeno, or even Chaos, and to adorn their armor with the skulls of various monsters and opponents as tribal symbols of the dead. Being consumed by the victor is the ultimate defeat of the opponent in Posul culture. This ceremony is known as the Rite of the Damned. They are also renowned for their deadly close combat skills and penchant for employing melee weapons like chainswords and power fists, which raises questions about their alleged Ultramarine gene seed origins. In my opinion, this makes them seem more like Night Lords. The Mortifactors have a unique cultural heritage that stems from their homeworld of Posul. The planet was known for its deadly jungles, mostly perpetual darkness, incredibly harsh conditions of life, and the pervasive threat of a horrible end. The Mortifactors have incorporated many elements of jungle warfare into their tactics and culture. They are also known for their reverence for the dead, and they believe that the spirits of their fallen battle brothers continue to watch over them in battle. The Mortifactors are arranged into 10 companies, each with about 100 Space Marines, according to the typical Codex Astartes organizational structure. They do not, however, strictly follow the Codex, and they have been observed to splinter off tiny squads to engage in solo combat. The Badab War and the Third War for Armageddon are only two of the important campaigns in which the Mortifactors have participated throughout history. Additionally, they have engaged in battle with the Tyranids and the Orcs, two Xenos threats. The Mortifactors are a dreaded Space Marine chapter with a distinguished history and a well-earned reputation for lethal combat prowess. Their homeworld of Posul was destroyed by Tyranids, so they are now a fleet-based chapter that roams the stars in search of the enemies of the Imperium, and with the impending threat of a new hive fleet, perhaps vengeance for their ancestors. They have been strengthened by Primaris Space Marines as part of the Indomitus Crusade. We are left with a chilling impression of the dismal realities of the Warhammer 40,000 universe as we reach the conclusion of our tour into the land of the Mortifactors. The Mortifactors represent the savagery and cruelty of this gloomy time, when death and violence are the only constants in a world of disorder and gloom. We sincerely hope that this video has revealed to you the Mortifactors' true nature and the horrific sacrifices they make in the Emperor's honor. Their unwavering loyalty to the Imperium serves as a stark reminder that humanity's survival depends entirely on unending struggle and sacrifice. So let's not let the delusion of hope in this gloomy and terrible universe deceive us. Instead, let's get ready for the never-ending struggle against the numerous atrocities that pose a threat to our survival. Only the most ruthless and strong will endure in this realm of darkness and sorrow. We pray that the Mortifactors' legacy will motivate us to keep fighting, and that their example will serve as a reminder that we all ultimately face death.